Okay guys, so I've got this all wired up now. I've gone and organized it with a bunch of wire wrap. I've wire wrapped all these wires along the inside here so that they stay out of the way of the fan. And then I've got this wire wrap, all these wires. I unplugged all the connectors and then wrapped all this up to where the connectors were. If you can see over here. So I've wired them all up to this big nest of connectors, and then I've wrapped all the wires up along here, which go into the corner here, which is where all my cable chain and extrusion covers end up. And then I've gone and wire wrapped, this is the wire for the heated bed, so I've gone and wire wrapped that as well. And if you can look on the front here as well, you can see I've wire wrapped all these wires coming out of the motor and into the extruder just to neaten them all up, and the same with the Y-axis motor as well. So now we'll get this plugged in and I'll show you how to edit the firmware. Okay, so we have it all plugged in to the wall and stuff. Before I switch it on, I'm just going to plug in the LCD screen and let's see which way these go. Probably get them going this way. Okay, so the LCD screen is plugged in into the control board now, and we're just going to switch it on and see what happens. So the fans are going on. The hot end fan is on as well, so that's all wired up right. The control board seems to be on, the screen is not working, so what we'll first try is switching these around. Try it again. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, our hot end and heated bed thermistors seem to be working fine. It is about 17 degrees in the room here. Okay, so now that we've got it all plugged in and working, we're just going to do a home test to see if our end stops are correct and they actually work. So just get ready, be ready with your finger on the button, power button, to if one of the end stops doesn't register, you want to turn it off as soon as you can. So we'll click auto home. So the X-axis end stop seems to work fine. The Y-axis works as well. And the X-axis seems to work fine as well. So what we'll do now is try to do a heat the bed and heat the extruder. So we'll click prepare. We want to move axis. We're going to move 1 millimeter at a time. And we're going to move the Z axis. We're going to move the Z-axis up 100 millimeters. That's about 100. Okay, next thing we want to click prepare. Well, let's do one at a time. So we'll go control, temperature. We'll do the nozzle first. So let's set the nozzle to 230. Well, let's take it 220. So as you can see, our nozzle's heating up nicely there. It's at 155 degrees so far. So we're at 217 so far, 219, 220. We'll see how well the PRDs work. So they seem to be a bit off on the cooling down side and on the heating side. So the first thing we're going to do when we plug in the computer is going to do a PRD auto tune, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay, now we'll do the heating of the bed. So we'll go control temperature, we'll turn the nozzle off. The bed will heat to, let's say 70 degrees. Okay, so that's slowly going up. Okay, so that took about 10 minutes and the bed got up to temperature. It's nice and warm. So now we'll get into editing the firmware. So now that you have your printer all wired up and ready to go, you're gonna plug it into the wall, switch it on, and then we're gonna plug our USB cable, which is the blue one that came with the printer. You want to plug it from the control board into your USB port on your computer, and then once you're there, we're going to go to Google, and we're going to download what do they call a host software. So it's designed to control your 3D printer. We're going to Google Prontoface, go to the Prontoface website, and the program is called Print Run. So we're going to click download. We click on Windows OS X binaries. Now it comes with 3 versions of each, one for Mac and one for Windows. Download the latest one for whichever operating system you're using. And then once you've installed that, you're going to go back to Google. And we're going to download a software called a slicer. So I use Cura, and I'm going to use Cura in this video. So we're going to go to LTMaker's website, or you can. Now the latest version is 2.1.3, which I'm not really familiar with. It's been updated quite a bit. The whole look of it's completely different. So for this version, this video, you're going to click on View All Versions. And down here we've got version 15.04.6. You want to download and click on download that one. Once that's installed, we're going to go and open Print Run or Prontoface. And you're going to get to this screen here. So now what you want to do is you want to go to the top left hand corner where it says port, and it should automatically detect a port, so try connecting with the one that it's already connected to, and then you want to change your baud rate to 250,000, and we're going to click connect. And then after a few seconds, so once this becomes all visible, and you've got all your EEPROM values here, and it says printer is online up here, that means now it's connected to your printer. And the first thing we're going to do is, if you can read down here under M92, it gives you an X, Y, Z, and E number. And this number here, this E610, that's the extruder steps per millimeter. And from the previous printer that I built, that turned out to be really, really low, and it was actually under extruding. So I did a whole the whole E-steps calibration on that printer, and found out that the best number is 900. So we're going to, down in the command line here, we're going to type M92 E900 and press enter. Now that'll change your E-steps in your firmware to 900 steps per millimeter. Then we're going to hit M500, and that'll save that value to EEPROM. So once it's set in stored, that value has been saved to the EEPROM. We type M501, and that'll give you your EEPROM values back. And you can see that here, over here, the E numbers has changed to 900. Now, for more on this extruder calibration, I'll do a whole separate video on that because it's got quite a few steps, and I don't want to make this video too long. Then after that, we just want to do a PID auto tune. So what you want to do is you want to go M303, which is the PID auto tune command, and you want to type in E0, which is for the first extruder and only extruder in our case, S220, which is the temperature that you want to PID auto tune to, and then C8, which is the number of cycles that it's going to do. And when you hit enter, it says PID tune auto start, and what's it's going to do is it's going to heat your hot end to 220, and then let it cool down a bit, and then heat it back up, and do that over and over again, and just do a whole bunch of calculations, which it'll then give you three numbers, which is your P number, your R number, and your D number, and we'll enter those into the EEPROM as well, and that should stabilize our temperature. So I'll let that heat up and do the auto tune, and we'll get back to that. After the PID auto tune is finished, you're going to get these three numbers that are listed here, just these three here, and those are your PID numbers. So to enter those in, well, firstly, if you haven't been watching it the whole time, if you've left and you've come back to a screen full of this, which says echo busy paused for user, all that's done is that after the PID auto tune, it's basically paused the functioning of your control board. So to get rid of that, you just click on the LCD knob, just press it down, and that should reactivate everything. So then we'll go back up here. So then to enter those values into the EEPROM, the command is M301 P, and then you enter the P number 86 I 1267 and D 53.31. Then we press enter, and then if you ignore all that, so just focusing on this here, it's going to say echo and then the numbers that you've put in. That just means that it's done what you've wanted and changed the numbers, and then we're going to save that by hitting M500. That should have saved, and then just to double check, M501 will show you your EEPROM values, and then down here you'll see your PID settings. You've got your PID numbers there. Okay, next thing what we're going to do is we're going to level the bed and keep preparing for our first print. Okay guys, so now we're going to level the bed, but before we do that, the best thing you can do, because this is an aluminium print bed and it does warp, or can get warped, first thing I'll do is I went and got a piece of glass cut that is 395 by 245. So just smaller than the bed, and I'm going to clamp this on here. That way I don't have to worry about it being warped, and it'll be perfectly flat everywhere, and I can level the bed accurately. Okay, so now when leveling the bed, we're still connected up to our computer. You want to type in a G28. So the first thing a G28 will do is home everything. By G28 I mean type G28 into the command line and press enter. I'm actually just gonna, because I know this is gonna push hard on the bed, so I'm gonna push that down a little. Now that it's homed, let it go. It's gonna be pushing down pretty hard on the bed, so I'm gonna just go G1 to move. That's the move command. Z20. Well, let's make it Z40. So it's gonna move 40 millimeters up on the Z. Okay, so now I like to start doing is just push this down a bit, tighten that up. Do that for all four corners on the same, pretty much the same length. There we go. Right, and this last corner. Okay, so now we're just going to do a G1Z0 to see how close that gets to the bed. I'm hoping that the bed's lower than it is. Okay, so that just touches the bed, so now all we're going to do is you want a G1Z40 again. And then a G1X0Y0 to take it to the home position, but not the Z. And then we're going to go G1Z0. So now it's going to take it to the Z0 home position in the corner here. And we'll see that pushes the bed down a bit, so we're just going to grab a piece of paper. Okay, so now as you can see, the print head is in the home position in the top, bottom right, bottom left hand corner. We just want to pull this down just so you can get the paper underneath. Now that's too tight, so we're going to tighten the bed, lower the bed actually, tighten the screw until the paper starts to move. So that's pretty good. It's a little bit loose, so we'll just loosen back off again. Do the same. Okay, so now that I can still feel the nozzle scraping, but it's pretty easy to move in all directions. That's where you want it to be. Now before I move it, I'm just going to roughly get these the same height by looking at the screws coming out the bottom. Just want to get them about the same. Doing this makes it a lot easier to level the bed on each other point. Because every time you move the one side, the other sides get affected. And that's about it. So we'll just double check this paper here. See, that's a bit loose now because I've gone and adjusted all the other ones. So what we'll do is we'll back this one up just until it touches again. It's about there. Now what we'll go is G1Z5. So raise it up 5. And then we want X. It's about, I think it's about 330. Because this motor here extends so far past the nozzle, you kind of lose a lot of travel. So it's about, I think it's about 350. So that'll do there. And then we will G1Z0. Put the paper underneath, so it goes down. So that's, again, it's way too low. So we'll release the bed just until it that's about there. So there's a bit of friction there, but I can still move this paper. G1Z5. And then we'll go G1Y. I think it's 240. We'll try 240. So there's the Y 240. that's a bit too far. So we're going to go G1, Y, 220. And that's it right. So now we're going to, this is too low, so we're just going to loosen this up to raise the bed until it touches. Sorry, G1Z0 first. And now it's too tight, so we're just going to tighten this. Until it's about there, that's friction with, like I still move it. G1Z5. And then we want to go X0. G1, X0. And then we'll move back to the X position, X0 position. Okay, then we'll slide the paper underneath. Just make sure it stays there. G1Z0. And then it's too low again. So we want to loosen it. So it's about there. It's pretty much spot on. And now we'll just do another G28 so it homes in the middle, and then double check the level there. So we'll put that underneath, and we'll see. It's a little bit tight. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tighten each corner a half a turn. You want to mainly do this, specifically do this the exact same amount on each corner. So half a turn. Or it's even a quarter of a turn. And there you can see I can now move that freely. Okay, so here I'm just raising the x-axis up to 5 centimeters above the build platform, and now we're going to try and load our filament. So what we're going to do is we want to go to control, temperature. This is on the LCD panel. You go to nozzle, and we're going to set that to, I'm going to say 220, because that's the temperature I generally put PLA at. Okay, so while that heats up, you want to grab your filament. So I've just got it's about 1.5 meters of this green eSun PLA. And then these two screws here, these are to adjust the tension on the ball bearing that pushes against the hobbed gear. So what you want to do is, once it's up to temperature, it's on 120 degrees at the moment, we'll let that get a bit hotter. There's a safety function built into Marlin that won't let you extrude, so it won't let this motor do anything unless the hot end temperature is, I think, 180. You can set it in the firmware, but I think it's best to just leave it at 180 because you're never going to really print anything colder than 180. And it prevents the motor trying to push the filament through a cold hot end. Okay, so we're at 220 now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stick filament through this hole at the top as far as it can go, which should be about 1 centimeter for now. And while holding that, you just want to tighten these up a bit. So I generally like to get them probably about there. And just so you can see where that spring is, the nut, it's about halfway. There's a little bit of tension left on the spring. Okay, so let's try that for now. Then going back into your computer. So there's a part on the left of the screen where it says extrude and reverse, and then it's got length and speed underneath. You want to click length, you want to put it at 100 millimeters, and speed 200 millimeters a minute, which means when you extrude, it's going to take 30 seconds to hopefully extrude 10 centimeters through this hot end. So let's give it a go. You click extrude, and it's gone in. So we'll see if it comes out the other end. So it's currently extruding 10 centimeters, hopefully. And we'll see if it's enough to go all the way down through and extrude some plastic. And there you can see the plastic's coming out. So far that looks all good. What we'll do is we'll just extrude another 5 centimeters, so another 50 millimeters. So we'll change it to 50 millimeters and then click outside the box just to make sure it changes, and then click extrude again. And there we can see the plastics coming out nice and smoothly. And that means we're ready for our first print. So I'll just retract 5 millimeters. So change it to 5 millimeters length. Click on outside the box so that it registers the 5 millimeters, and then click reverse. So that'll just reverse the filament up 5 millimeters. We're now going to set up our first print. So we're going to start by opening up Cura. Now, if you open up Cura for the first time, it'll have a first time run wizard. If you just follow that through, it's going to ask you what printer you want to set up. Now you want to click other or RepRap style printer, and then click on the Prusa i3. So that's just a standard kind of profile for all non-proprietary printers. And then once it's set up all the basic settings, we're just going to go to machine settings, and then this machine settings opens up. And then you want to just change your maximum width to 340. The maximum depth is 240, and the maximum height is about 260 from what I can tell. And then we've got our heater bed, yes, build shape is square, our G-code flavor is RepRap Marlin Sprinter. So we'll click, first we want to change the machine name, just change it to whatever you want. I'm just going to call mine TEVO Black Widow, and then click OK. So now you can see your machine is called the TEVO Black Widow, and then if we zoom out, you can see that's the shape of our bed. Now we want to go to our browser. We want to type in thingiverse.com, and then once we get to the Thingiverse page, we're just going to type in 20mm cube, because that's our first print. We're going to test it out with a 20mm test cube. Then we're going to scroll down and click on this one here where it says 20mm test cube. We're going to click download all files, and then once those have downloaded, we're going to unzip that folder, and then we can close our web browser. So now we're back into Cura. To load our STL file, we want to click load. We want to go to our folder where we saved our 20mm test cube. We're going to open that up, and then it drops it in here. So then going through all these settings, we're going to leave the layer height at 0.2. The shell thickness is 1 millimeter. But first we want to change our nozzle size. So we've got a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. And the reason I say that is because the shell thickness has to be a multiple of the nozzle size. So we only want 2 perimeters. So we're going to click 0.8. Our bottom thickness, we only want 2 layers there, so 0.4. Fill density, we can leave at 20%. First thing here, we're going to go enable retraction, so that's ticked. We want to click the menu. Minimum travel is 1.5. Enable combing on all, that's right. We want to change the Z hop when retracting to 0.2 millimeters. Then we'll click OK. Print speed, we're going to leave it at 50. Actually, we might just change it to 60. Printing temperature, we're going to put at 220 because that's what I print with PLA, and the bed temperature can stay at 60. Support type, we're not going to have any support or any platform adhesion. The diameter, mine is 1.75 millimeters. The flow, we're going to bump up to 100 just for now. I'll do a whole video where I explain how you dial in the flow rate based on the wall thickness and the actual wall thickness that it prints. Because that dialing this number in here can really improve your print quality. So then we'll click on Advanced tab. We've got our retraction speed at 80 millimeters per second, which is fine. Our distance is 4.5, so that's also fine. The initial layer thickness, I'll leave it at 0.2 with the initial layer line width of 105%, so it extrudes a little bit more plastic just to get the help it stick to the bed. And then our bottom layer speed we're going to change to 20. And our outer shell speed we've got at 30. And that should be pretty much it. I've got this plugin enabled here, which I'm just going to get rid of because we don't want any plugins. And then we're just going to go click on this expert tab at the top and click Open Expert Settings. And then we're going to go to the part where it says Skirt. So we've got skirt here. We want line count 1. I'm going to change that to 2. And the start distance must be 5 millimeters. And the minimal length is 150 millimeters. So that's all fine. So all that's going to do is it's going to print a skirt around 5 millimeters away from the whole print, just to prime the nozzle so that you get a good consistent flow by the time it starts printing. And then that seems like we've got everything done. So now it automatically slices it for you while you're adjusting all the settings. So if we click this view mode at the top here and we go down to layer view, so because it's a 20mm test cube, we've got 100 layers. So it starts at the top and you just drag this down, and if you want to zoom in, then we can drag this down and it can show you each layer just like that. So now your printer should be connected to your computer. So instead of this save toolpath icon at the top, it should have one that says print with USB. You want to click on that, and then a box is going to pop up and connect to your 3D printer. And then you want to click print, and then hopefully your hot end your heated bed should heat up first, and then your hot end, and then it should start printing. So we'll go over to the printer and see how our first print goes. The printer homes. We'll just get rid of this bit of a goo. So now it's going to go down to the middle. And there we have it printing. So we'll let that print and see how it ends up. So as you can see, that first layer is laying down pretty good. This is just on bare glass cleaned with acetone. Try and get that glare away from the bed. As you can see, it's laying down pretty good, especially considering it's our first print. Just means that our bed is pretty much perfectly leveled. Now it's just doing the second bottom layer. And that's the end of our first print. So I'll get it off and we'll get some close-ups of. Okay, so there you go. You can see the quality of the first print. There's a bit of some echoing and stuff like that, but it's not bad for a first one. The extrusion is probably slightly over extruding, as you can tell from the bulging corners over here. The top layer there, that's only got gaps in it because I only put 2 solid layers on top and on bottom, as you can see there. But when you print on glass, it gets a nice shiny surface like that on the bottom. So that's not so bad for a first print of this kit.